This is No Expectations, the podcast where we have unedited, lively conversations about spirituality, Zen Buddhism, holistic living, and everything in between. My name is Andrew. I'm a lifelong Zen Bodhisattva. It sounds much more fancy than it really is. A part-time tracksuit tailor and an author. This is my buddy, Jen.
What's up? I'm Jen. I love a good cup of coffee, a long walk in the woods at a comfortable, moderate pace. And I love having these conversations about kind of living life with no expectations.
Me too. Let's jump in. Joining us for another episode of No Expectations, the podcast. Good to see you, Jen.
Good to see you, Andrew. It's been a while since we've been in the same room.
Yeah, I know. Face to face, sharing some space. Don't mean to rhyme, but, you know.
You're a poet.
Thanks. So we're not only celebrating the new year as we enter January here, but we're also kind of a little milestone for ourselves here at the podcast. It's 1 year ago that we started this whole crazy journey of sitting around and talking about living life with no expectations. Can you believe it?
It is so wild to me that, a year ago we were talking about throwing this up against the wall and seeing, what came of it. It's amazing. We've done a lot this year.
Yeah, or last year. Yeah, we really, been fortunate enough to have a lot of people listen to us, come and comment and talk to us, ask us questions, and we certainly appreciate all that. I like to believe over the last year that we've become more comfortable with this. Not better at it, just more comfortable with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and trying to offer our take on spirituality, things that we've learned from teachers and our lessons in life, and try to just kind of express those and talk to them, and talk about those things in real terms with each other and share those with our listeners. So we really appreciate everyone who supported us over the last year.
Yeah, I mean, one of the consistent conversations we had was about sharing gratitude, and Andrew and I are so grateful to everyone who's listened, who has shared the podcast or talked about it to your friends and family and coworkers. One of the data points from Spotify podcast was we've been shared and listened to in 20 different countries, and that reach to me is just baffling that what we're doing here is resonating.
Yeah, and I think just in line with the name of the podcast, we showed up last January with no expectations.
Literally.
Let's just see what happens. And I think we did a pretty good job of seeing what happens. And, sometimes we continue to kind of just wander off topic and see what happens and let the conversation go where it may.
Yeah.
But looking for some new and challenging things coming in 24. I think we're going to kind of have some guests on over the year. We're going to try to, talk about some other things outside of just basic spirituality. So we're looking to really kind of expand and looking for a good 24.
Yeah, I do. We do envision keeping this as real and raw as we have. Like, we're not taking a lot of time and editing and cutting out and, scripting a whole bit. So really, the conversations that we're having here is just like you're in the room with us.
Yeah, keeping it fresh. So all of that, looking back at 23, if you went back to January 23, jumped in the time machine, and we're looking at your New Year's resolutions for 23, how'd you think you did?
Man, I didn't have any. I think we talked about a year ago, just kind of scrapping the idea of setting these lofty goals and resolutions and really focusing on intention and aspiration. And I aspired to just be a little bit more gentle with myself. And I think I ended the year in a really, comfortable space, that letting go of a lot of the expectations I had put on myself as a mom and as a friend, and just, every moment that I gave myself the opportunity to realize, like, hey, this is an attachment that you have or an expectation that you have, and letting it go. So yeah, I found, I guess if I had a success factor on intention and aspiration, I'd say it was pretty good for the year.
Good.
What about you?
I had some plans and some things that I wanted to get done at 23, or I thought I wanted to get done, and the universe threw me some curveballs. And so I do give myself credit for not, getting stuck in like a rigid mindset where like, oh, that didn't come to pass, and so I'm really upset, and like everything falls apart. I wasn't upset about it. It's like, okay, I'm gonna roll with the punches and see what happens. In hindsight, I had a great 23. Was fortunate to get some things accomplished, some stuff I've been working on for a while. So professionally, those things were nice. Changing in some ways, stepping away from showing up and teaching every day, which was challenging for me. Was
teaching yoga,
asana, and stuff like that. But it was something that I needed to do personally. And then working on my relationships with people around me. And so I think at the end of the year, I found myself to be a calmer, gentler version of Andrew.
Hallelujah. 23 was a success. Yeah. Put a pin in it.
My sunny disposition is back.
Wow, I can't wait to see what 24 holds for you.
No expectations.
I know, but I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Let's see. It's hard to build on such amazing work.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No.
See what happens. But saying that, jumping into 24, I've already had a lot of people reach out to me, and they were putting up some pretty high expectations for themselves for the new year. Like, wanting to learn new languages and wanting to, learn new skills and all of these things, and talking, as people do, people pick up new things as the new year comes along, like working out or meditation or things like
learning something new.
Or building on a great 23. And I think, we may have to revisit what we talked about last year about, New Year's resolutions. And like, when you jump into something new, give yourself some time and space to adapt. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be instantly amazing in like at the first time you show up.
Yeah.
And you're going to be, for lack of a better word, you're going to be shitty at it for a while. Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
Yeah. Well, I think we might have thrown the data point out when we recorded the 23 episode of resolutions that, by the end of the month, 21 days in, most people have already, drop their resolution. Maybe they'll pick it up throughout the year, but maybe a better way of looking at that is like, if you have goals and things that you want to obtain this year, break it into smaller chunks and not say, I'm going to get it done this year. But this is what January is going to look like for me, or this is what this week is going to look like for me.
Yeah. I think people, I've had a lot of people come to me and talk to me about, diet and exercise, and like, oh, I want to lose weight in 24, I'm just going to start fasting. And I'm like, I don't know, that's the best place to start, but maybe, not drink the extra large, whatever macchiato with 18 pumps of hazelnut syrup,
just start small.
Maybe move down to whatever.
Half the pumps.
Half the pumps, half the size, start small instead of stop eating entirely. Yeah. And also, as you take on New Year's resolutions, and maybe it's an exercise routine or whatever, find something that you enjoy doing. There's nothing worse than doing something that you hate.
You feel obligated to do.
Right. So if you don't enjoy lifting weights, then don't lift weights.
Man, I cannot tell you how many times I have a lot of friends in my communities that are runners. And maybe once a month, I get asked if I want to sign up for a half marathon. And there was a time in this part of my physical fitness where I was like, I'm going to do a half marathon this year. Mm-hmm. And every time someone asked me to do a race, I would, I'll do it. But I hated running.
Right.
I hate it, and it's not good for my personal body. And so I've learned to be like, no, I'm good. Y'all go run. Yeah. I will cheer for you, though.
So find whatever that is. So, it may take a while. You may have to go, okay, you may have to slog through a couple runs with people and go, this is not for me. Or you may have to show up to a dance class and go, this is not for me. Or a yoga class or weightlifting, whatever that is, or a pottery class, or whatever your endeavor is for the new year. And don't be dismissive. Show up and try. Give it your best. And if it doesn't work, then find the next thing.
Yeah.
But don't quit. Keep searching until you find your place. And then once you find your place, I think it's about finding balance in that place. It's the idea of you want to do it as frequently as you can, that it's still enjoyable, where it doesn't create anxiety for you, where it's like, oh, if I haven't gone and lifted weights today, I'm not doing anything. I'm worthless. That's anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm not progressively overloading and adding more weight every time I lift. So I'm getting bad at this. Or it's when you're doing the same thing over and over and it creates boredom. You don't want that either.
Yeah.
So you want to find that balance in between that creates pleasure experience for yourself. Or it's like, it's not work.
Yeah. Well, that's how you prevent burnout too, is like, or injury. And
right.
Yeah. Moderation is key in everything that we really do in life.
I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
I do.
I thought you thought about never skipping leg day a lot.
Is that some sort of slight?
Not at all.
Are you slighting me?
Not at all. Happy New Year, Andrew.
Yes. Hold on, what? I feel like that was a crack at me.
No.
I feel like
No.
just because I think I've got a single tear in my eye.
Oh, you really have softened up this year.
I don't even know what day it is. It's just leg day, right?
It's just leg day. Does it end in Y?
Wow.
Oh,
Jen has
man.
come on with the full New Year's face-to-face sass.
Yeah, my resolution this year is to turn my sass level up.
Oh, yeah? Did the doctor tell you to do that? Or?
Yeah, I've got a prescription for it.
Well, where do you get that prescription filled?
We may have to hit pause on the recording so we can go at it.
There's no need to put your fists up. This room is pretty small.
It is.
I'm pretty sure I can take you because I have not missed leg day.
But those scrawny little arms.
You talking about yourself?
This is what happens.
Yeah.
We should probably go back to virtual recording for a while.
So yeah, I think it is about just showing up and finding, something that's enjoyable for yourself, and just maybe not always think about it as like, if it's, if you're trying to lose weight, don't always be obsessively jumping on the scale and looking, I lost a pound today or 10 pounds or whatever it is. That's not where the enjoyment lies.
No. Enjoy life and in whatever your goals are for this year and whatever path you're taking and how you plan to get there. Just make sure you're taking every moment to, assess that you're enjoying it there.
And it's okay if along the way that you change your mind, you're under no obligation to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago, said the great Alan Watts.
That is such a relief.
Yeah. So if you, if you go down a journey and you find, this is no longer fun for me, like I want to change it up, I want to do something else, by all means, go do it.
Permission to proceed. I like it.
Thanks. So what else do we have on the New Year calendar?
I'm excited about the idea of bringing on guests to interview. I think that's really a fun opportunity to think about in terms of, the podcast.
Right. So if you're out there, you have something that you want to come on and discuss, maybe you have a podcast yourself, or you're a teacher or a coach, or you're doing something unique that you think our listeners would like to hear about. Yeah.
Wellness industry, yoga, fitness, anything that, our listeners.
Spirituality, anything that's, Buddhist, Zen, books, whatever you're doing, we'd love to hear from you. So, message us via our socials.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about it.
Sounds good.
So I was thinking the other day about anger and how we speak to ourselves, and like when we get angry and with ourselves mostly, and what that does to us at a deeper spiritual and physical level, like the subtle body. When we talk to ourselves in negative terms, whether we say it out loud, or we, just think it in our mind, like, hey, you're awful at this, or you suck, or da-da-da, you're a bad person, really, what does that do to us at a deeper, more subtle level? And, Jen and I had a brief conversation about this yesterday when we were speed walking through the woods. And you used a good word, and I like that word. It imprints, like that negative energy gets imprinted into who you are, maybe down at the cellular level.
Yeah.
And that kind of gets baked into the cake. And, we start to exude negative energy, and we start to think negatively, and everything begins to suck. Right? Because we see everything through that filter of that sucks.
Yeah.
And so what do we need to do to change that?
I mean, it's the way you talk to ourselves, even out loud or internally, is so important. Every time you look in the mirror and you pick out your flaws, whether you say them out loud or not, you're imprinting that, the way you look at yourself physically, or, the lack of not meeting your expectations that you've set on yourself, or the goals. Every time you beat yourself up for something you did wrong, you're just, putting an imprint.
You're just piling it on.
Yeah.
It's piling it on. So it's just about like getting ahead of it, right? Before it was like, oh, you suck at this. Like, oh, hey, I did the best I could.
Yeah.
I did the best I could, right? So we're, kind of piggybacking off what we were talking about in the first segment. Like, if you're showing up and trying to learn something new for the first time, instead of going, man, I suck at this.
Failed.
I'm really bad at this, so I probably need to get out. No, okay, this is the first time I'm doing this. It's okay. Like, if this was easy, then everyone would do it. Give yourself a break. Say, hey, this is actually, if I give this an opportunity, I can maybe see being pretty good at this, or this being enjoyable.
Yeah. It changed the imprint. Like, is the imprint one of a negative feeling or emotion that you have when you see that imprint, or is it a positive one, or is it one that pushes you forward? Does it hold you back?
Right. And, I think about some of these negative talk things are kind of learned behaviors too,
Man, as a mother with she's older now, but when she was in her young teenage years, I had a conversation with myself out loud about my butt looking big. And I remember her hearing that and repeating that. And it was such a wake-up call for me in this conversation, that the way that I look at myself, others are looking at myself that way too. And like, do I want my daughter to pick apart herself the way that I have? So that really changed the way that I thought about imprinting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so important.
And we all, obviously, we learned that from our parents, and then, now we're susceptible to everything that's on social media. So, again, piggybacking off the first segment, if you're starting a new routine, and then you you go on your social feeds and you see whatever that is, people being massively successful, and it looks like it just happened overnight for them, or they're just magically gifted.
Yeah, like how strong they are when they go. How much they can lift, or
whatever that is. They've always been great at crochet, right? Like, you were born with this great talent for crochet, right? No, it takes time. So when we see that on social media, you're like, oh, I suck at this. Like, why am I not as good as that? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, who cares? Who cares? And maybe you just say, oh, that's pretty great. I'm happy that they're good at this and they find enjoyment. And I'm also happy that somebody else is finding enjoyment looking at something that they created.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, I suck at this. I probably should quit.
Like it's a personal attack.
Yeah.
Right. This Instagram photo is not a personal attack on you.
Well, my dreams of being a professional crochet artist are gone forever. No offense to anyone who's a professional crochet artist. And if you are, I want to hear more about that.
Yeah.
And how much money can you make as being a professional crochet artist?
Can you crochet?
I'd say no.
Okay.
I mean,
I've never tried. I don't know if I can.
I remember it being quite a common artistic feature in my house growing up, but I don't know where it came from.
Like the macrame. So you're dating yourself. Got it.
I mean, I would date myself. It's amazing. But
Wow. New year, new you.
New year, same Andrew.
Same.
No, I actually, to your point, it's not dating myself because that stuff is back and in fashion now. Mm-hmm. So just because I was in a world that had it
in the 70s and 80s
doesn't mean just because the people I was around couldn't change their fashion sense. They had none.
Yeah.
They were still hanging on the wall. Like, okay, let's take this down. It's been up there for 2 decades.
2 decades still there. It'll come back eventually.
I mean, everything's cyclical. Right. It all comes back. So, how did we get off on crochet?
You wanted to talk
macrame?
About some deep feelings you had.
I think I might have tried it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think there is I'm sure that there is some sort of meditative state that comes along with knitting. Is that the same as crochet and macrame?
I don't know.
I'm sure that the whole crochet, macrame, knitting community is about to come up in arms with pitchforks.
We're sorry.
And torches.
We're sorry.
Oh, they're outside the studio right now.
With their needles.
My acupuncture appointment is later. So yeah, I think it is about like learning to kind of neuter that negative talk as soon as you can, and just go, okay, what's the big deal? Let's just have fun with this.
Yeah, this life, whatever it is that we're doing, because the more time we spend in this negative talk to ourselves, it spreads. Like, whether you realize it or not, others see the way you think about yourself or the way you treat yourself, and they'll treat you that way. And then, it just, I don't know.
I think one of the other byproducts or, bad byproducts of that talk is that we start to then disconnect from our intuition, right? It just kind of creates this your intuition's telling you, hey, go follow this road, but then you're this negative self-talk that you've bombarded yourself with is oh, I don't trust my intuition anymore, or I suck at that. Why would I go do that?
Yeah.
So that becomes where we disconnect from our intuition, and I see that a lot in young adults, and in maybe not just young adults, but I see that a lot when I communicate with people. Oh yeah, I really want to go do that, but.
It's the social media. Everything is so glamorized and filtered and edited to make you think that everyone else is living a much cooler life than you, or something
richer life. And
yeah,
they're just much more gifted, and I think that I think it is. Yeah. It's this idea that they're either they have more money, or they're physically gifted, or access to more things. But is that really the case? Mm-hmm. Can you make something out of nothing? Sure.
Yeah.
So when you find yourself talking negatively to yourself, just pause and go, what am I doing here? And then see if you can counteract that with something positive, whatever that might be. If you're, struggling with a new exercise routine, understand that sometimes you're going to have to go backwards before you go forwards,
Yeah.
and enjoy that a little bit.
It takes time. Everything worth doing takes time and work. So keep at it.
And it's enjoying the work part. It's enjoying. So again, back to segment 1, just enjoying it, finding that place where it's enjoyable.
No, I'll enjoy running when I get my medal at the end of my 13.1 run. No, it's joining.
I thought you just enjoyed buying shoes.
I know, right? Whatever gets you that hit, you need to. But it's enjoying every time you put on your shoes and you hit the pavement and you go for a run. It's enjoying, those moments that make that end of race.
Yeah, but maybe it's just a community too.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Maybe just showing up and being around your friends, and maybe that's fun enough. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but maybe this is buying the shoes or buying the gear.
Yeah,
looking the part.
That's the easy part.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh.
It's putting them on.
You gonna I'm going to get some crochet shorts.
Man, please don't.
Like, I'll have you know.
Do not come into the studio with a pair of crocheted shorts on, sir.
If you're out there and you can crochet me some running shorts,
please don't.
I am in the market.
Thanks for listening to No Expectations, the podcast. We invite you to come join us and carry on the conversation at noexpectations.me, our new website, where we will be posting blog posts. We will link all of our episodes there, and you can follow us on our social media sites through the website.